Even if we still have our jobs at the end of this, we're all going to be publicly crucified. I could do with doing a desk-bound admin job for the rest of my life. Fuck you both. Still in the mood for jokes? The permsec is on my ass, and I guarantee if my head rolls, I'll take both of yours with me. Andrew and I had our gallows humor to cope with such cases, but anyone could easily tell these were different. The mood was different. Perks of a country with a low crime rate, I guess. There's always the initial public shock and horror, followed by the unset expectations of an immediate arrest. Nobody admits it, but the public loves the little thrill of an ongoing manhunt as long as their little bubble of normalcy remains intact. This was different. There was the first body, grotesquely mutilated, and then came the second, and then the third. Leaked photos of the crime scene meant the horrors were plain for all to see. Nothing our vague descriptions could mask. Leads were scarce. None of it made any sense. A sales director in his 50s, an odd job laborer in his 70s, a housewife in her 40s. Each of them willingly made their way to these different forested areas where they were then killed. But why? All three victims had signs of putting up a struggle before they were killed. Blunt force trauma to the head, stab wounds through the heart, excessive loss of blood through slash wounds at the carotid artery, the unexplained burn marks, the messy severing of limbs. Forensics couldn't be certain if the killers for these three were the same person. The relentless rain over the past week had also washed away any possible footprints or clues in the mud. Every available bit of manpower was directed towards this case. Patrol teams combing forested areas endlessly and thorough vehicle searches in the vicinities. Our hunch was these killings would not be the last anytime soon. I thumbed through the interview transcripts with close contacts again. Nothing clicked. Phone records and emails were of no help as to why they were even heading to these locations. No signs that the victims even knew each other. The only inkling that seemed out of the ordinary was seemingly busier evenings for the victims in the weeks leading up to their deaths. I sighed at the painful prospect of tracing back their movements as far as a month ago. Just then, the commissioner burst right in. "We got our guy! We got him!" Everyone's excitement was audible as we rushed right out. Suspect is on his way to the hospital. Was about to kill his next one before he got shot by patrol officers. I couldn't believe our sudden change of luck as we sped down the streets, hoping to get any FaceTime before he got to the emergency room. Andrew could barely contain himself as he continued to press the ground officers for more details. "There's a chance our guy might not make it. 2 shots in the chest. No identification found. Seems to be mid-40s. As we rushed towards the emergency room, I tried to visualize what our killer might look like. Psychotic, menacing, the likes of a rogue butcher. What would drive someone to commit these seemingly random acts? Our eyes made contact as he was reeled in. This was not my first rodeo. There usually would be a sign of defeat, a certain sense of peace, maybe even an ironical smirk. Not him. I could see his anger bubbling through his eyes as he probably fought to stay awake. Time was of the essence as the nurses rushed him towards the operating theater. I could sense that this was our last chance as the paramedics mentioned that his odds were grim. Why? Identify yourself. I could barely hold back as I tried to keep up with the nurses. He struggled to keep his eyes on me as his breaths grew heavier. I decided to take my chance and pulled his oxygen mask off while leaning close to him. "Excuse me, sir. You can't do that." "Sir, please step back." The protests of the nurses drowned in the background as he weakly uttered, Stop them. You'll have to. As I tried to make sense of his words, the nurses dragged me off before wheeling him into the operating theater, his eyes wide open with his gaze seemingly drifting away. The fuck? They're going to lodge a complaint against you for sure. I waved off Andrew as I repeated those words over again. What did he say? He said we'll have to stop them, whatever the fuck that means. Anyway, have they managed to confirm his identity? Nope, no identification found. We're running fingerprints, so we might have an answer soon. Don't overthink too much. Probably mad or just delirious. I mean, who wouldn't be after getting shot? I didn't know if it was best for me to hang around the operating theater or if I should head off to our latest victim. At the looks of it, we might have more luck finding answers from the latter. Oh yes, anything on our victim? On his way to the hospital too? Oh, I almost forgot. Patrol said he seemed fine aside from minor cuts and didn't need the hospital. Strange, haven't heard from their side in a while. Just then, my phone rang. You're at the hospital? Have you heard back from Patrol? They've been uncontactable for the past half an hour. I'm sending a team down. So, I'm a police officer and have been serving for about 5 years. I did my 2 years of the academy and probation. So, I've been on the streets for about 3 years. My partner is my longtime friend from middle school, and we've been serving the same basic area for the past 3 years. We recently spent 2 months on the department's crime suppression division due to recent protests and just got back to patrolling a nice secluded part of the city we serve, our original area. Due to department policies and the safety privacy of others, I won't be giving out any information as to what department we work for, city, names of any real people or addresses. We caught the night watch and started our shift at 6 p.m. The usual banter was exchanged between the now end of watch unit and my partner and I as we searched the car for anything that may have been missed by the other guys. Once it was clear, we radioed our supervisor and started patrol. Now, a heads up, we work a quiet part of the city, but that doesn't mean we don't get our fair share of strange calls, and boy were we in for one tonight. It was about 9:45 p.m., and my partner and I were quiet, listening to the radio chatter and finishing up some paperwork. We shared the occasional laugh when a unit we were friends with got dumped with a particularly shitty assignment. But then, there it was. Again, I can't divulge any real information, but this is more or less how the call went. 16, Adam 59, woman at 12 Foothill, reports possible 602, no suspect description available. Code 2, incident 8448, RD1643. 16 Adam 59, Roger, show us en route. $20 says it's her ex-boyfriend. I've got your 20 right here. 25 says it's a neighbor with a prior. I responded to my partner. Basically, dispatch sent us a possible trespassing call, and we had to respond with no lights or sirens, which usually means that they believe there is no danger of loss of life or anything of that nature. As we pulled around the corner, we turned our headlights off, and I angled the spotlight because Mark, my partner, was driving. 16 Adam 59, show us code 6 at 129th Street. Can you call the homeowner and tell her we're outside? 16 Adam 59, Roger, code 6. Do you need an airship at this time? Dispatch responded. 16 Adam 59, keep the airship on standby. So we cleared the immediate area with Mark and knocked and announced ourselves as the police. The young woman who answered couldn't have been older than 21 years old. Our conversation went as follows. You called us, ma'am? There's someone here. They keep banging on the walls and making noises like a hurt animal. I'm so scared. Are the doors locked? Any windows that may be open? No, I've locked everything. I've been hiding in my kitchen. Okay, come to the car with us. We're going to keep you safe. She was so scared, she wasn't crying, but close to. So we lead her to our unit and locked her in the back seat, which normally serves as reassurance to people in her situation. We called in for backup before we started the search because it looked like we were dealing with a 5150, a mentally unstable person, and didn't want to risk a bite to the neck. Once the extra unit showed up, we started by searching the inside. The house was locked, meaning that they couldn't be inside, making the search easier and getting one thing crossed off the list. All clear. We then moved to search the outside. We took the left, and the other unit took the right, and we met up behind the house, and that's where we saw it. A drawing about 5 feet wide and 4 feet long, red ink, and what appeared to be fecal matter, painted a picture of the devil torturing 2 women. Now, I haven't been a cop for too long, but I've seen my fair share of battered women and children, junkies on the fringes of society, and some wannabe Satanists who think blood is cool. Besides some stuff to do with children and abused women, nothing gets to me anymore. But this just made the hairs stand on the back of my neck, because in my time as a police officer, I've gotten a few calls with people concerned about monsters, and because of that, we have to keep a level head, and we usually just find people instead of monsters and aliens, but this time as different. 16 Adam 59, go ahead and send me 2 additional units, a supervisor, and an airship. KMA. Mark radioed in. What the fuck is this? Officer Roshanda said. She was a veteran officer who usually made fun of my partner and I for being stereotypical cops. This is some spooky shit, I said, trying to pass off as cool and calm, but really shitting my pants. We shouldn't have called in the airship. We're gonna scare this creep off, and I really want to get my hands on him, Roshanda's partner said. We started searching the area, but came up empty. We asked the helicopter to announce that people lock their doors and stay inside. A few hours had gone by, and still nothing. Even a few detectives from our notorious homicide division came to take a look. It was now 1:30 a.m., and we had found nothing. We had the young woman call her brother, who picked her up and took her to his house for the rest of the night. At about 2:15, we cleared the scene. Our supervisor gave us an order to stop by a few times during the rest of our watch. It was now 5:40 a.m., and we were on the way back to the station when I had a feeling in my gut to stop by one more time. We were passing by, and the door was opened. We called in and requested backup, but we didn't wait. We ran in calling out as the police and made our way into what we presume was the young woman's bedroom. I nearly threw up. There was a large portrait in great detail of the devil painted in what seemed to be a combination of cat and dog blood and feces. In marker by the drawing that hung above her bed was, "I found her once, I can find her again." I got back to the station and called it a day, but came back after breakfast at the local diner with my partner. We started going through our database and federal databases when we found 3 similar cases across the U.S. We called a police department in central Kansas and spoke with the detective in charge of one of the cases. When we brought it up, he hung up. We called in about a similar case in Oregon. The detective seemed to have gone from a happy, cheerful tone to a sad and anxious one. I missed it. I fucked up. Whatever was going on took its course almost as if there was never any police interference. I tried relocating her, I swear. I had the DA act quickly, but even after it was no use. And the smell. Oh God, those poor animals. What kind of person does this? She was crying by the end. It's been 2 weeks since all of this. I haven't driven by that house. My partner requested a transfer to a different division, and so have I. Oh, and I bought a new uniform because the old one had the smell of blood and shit on it. Hey, stop there right now, it's the police, is what I hear after robbing a store, and I run as fast as I can. Damn, I thought I was good robbing stuff by now. I guess we all have our off days, and I am running. I guess this counts as my exercise, right? Anyhow, as I am running away, the 2 police officers chasing me start reporting me to other police officers through their walkie-talkies. They start to describe my appearance, and I was really shocked. They said that I looked to be in my 20s, tall and of strong, muscular build. I couldn't believe it, and I turned around and stopped running. They arrested me, but I didn't get sent to jail. I had to do voluntary work and clean up areas. I looked in the mirror, and I saw myself as the opposite of what the 2 police officers had described me. When my voluntary work was done, I couldn't trust mirrors anymore. What if what I was seeing in the mirrors was completely wrong? I needed honesty, and police officers were the most honest, and especially when they are confronted by crime. I wanted an honest answer. In the mirror, I saw an ugly, decrepit individual who is basically a loser. So I robbed someone in front of some police officers. I started running again, and the police officer chasing me started talking on his walkie-talkie to other police officers. He started describing me as a tall, strong-looking individual. I couldn't believe it. In reflective shop windows, I saw myself as this scrawny, ugly-looking guy. But the police officer describing me was saying the opposite. I didn't know who to trust, and I managed to get away from the police officer. It could be maybe the mirrors were lying to me and purposely making me to look ugly. I started committing more crimes out in the open in front of police officers. The things they described about me, it was amazing. Most of the time I got caught because I just had to thank the police officers for how they described me. Then someone told me that the police officers were just lying about my appearance as a way to get me to stop running. It made sense, but I couldn't buy it. Why would police officers lie? Then I decided to ruin my appearance through use of acid. Then when I shot someone in the face in front of officers, the way they described my appearance. They described me as a burn-like appearance individual. They were telling the truth. Police officers are better than mirrors. Then when the guy I had killed, whose body became possessed by something, started biting people, the police started chasing him. They described him as a demonic-looking fella. Police officers are truly better than mirrors.